So final video review for this week is for my paperback read, which was Going Up by A.E. Radley. If you want to go and check out the introduction video, because this is what the book looks like, but if you want to see it like 360 and everything about it, the introduction video is still available on YouTube and Facebook for you to go and check out. I have just posted my Goodreads review as well, so if you want to go and check that out, if you're on Facebook or on my blog, there is a link in the post, and if you're on YouTube, there is a link in the description below. And this is the video review. So, Going Up by A.E. Radley. I love it. Okay, so it was an A.E. Radley story. So as soon as I bought it, I knew I was going to love it. I just love everything she writes. It's the way she writes. She just writes lovely stories with lots of emotion and lots of... I'm trying to think of the right word now. Oh, what is the word? It's really annoying. But yeah, anyway, she writes amazing stories. So this book is definitely her iciest ice queen to date. Selena is our ice queen. She is so icy, like literally she was so cold my hands were frozen reading the book. She's at the top of her game, but you know, she could always do better. And Kate is right at the bottom, and wanting to get her life back on track because she's been let down by the support system, which a lot of people are let down by, and she's found herself homeless. So Selena leaves homeless Kate a coffee, and that interaction sparks this interaction between the two and the intertwining of their lives. But fate has some surprises in store for them along the way. It's never plain sailing, and they're both very headstrong characters, so there is a lot of conflict between them when it comes to rights and beliefs and how they act. They're very, very different. So this story was something truly unique. Literally, to take a homeless character and a businesswoman isn't something I've seen before. And a whole lot of fate acting in mysterious ways to bring them together was just fantastic. I adored how Selena wasn't all she seemed. Like I say, she was the iciest ice queen. She was very cold, but she was one to be thought, you could tell. And Kate wasn't all she seemed either. When you get a character like that, to find out all about Kate's past and learn about her as a character, you really felt emotionally invested, and you felt quite upset because it's just a good example of how people end up on the street, and not for the reasons you think they're there, and not to judge them in the way that you think that they're to blame for their situation. That's not always the case. And when you read Kate's story, you'll very much learn that there is more to her than that initial meets the eye. And it's not just you learning either, it's Selena as well. She has a lot to learn. So this is what I love about A.E. Radley stories. I mean, I always get more than I expected, and no one is ever, you know, quite how I imagined them to be, the characters. I certainly didn't imagine the background that I got for Kate at all. So I got really emotionally invested in Selena and Kate's story, both individually and then together, and I struggled to put down the book. And, you know, I'm going to warn you, because I've done this several times now, and you'd think I would learn by now. You pick up an A.E. Radley book, prepare yourself for a sleepless night, because you literally won't be able to put it down. You get so sucked in, and it's so easy to read, that before you know it, you've read half the book, and then you're like, well, it's not going to take me that much longer, I'll just finish it. And then you realise that you should have gone to sleep because you had work and you're tired, but it doesn't matter because you read a great book and you had a great experience reading the book. You will literally read it in one sitting. I mean, I had to force myself to put it down to do reading updates, and that was a real struggle, and literally was reading huge chunks of it at a time. A.E. Radley just has this knack for engaging a reader from the very first sentence, and you will find yourself completely hooked on the book, and there's nothing you can do about it. Every time I get a new Radley book, it becomes my favourite, so I have a new favourite, and you know, I just love it. The intimacy of these two characters and their relationship and the way it builds, and slow burn, and it's just, oh, it's so perfect. Like literally, it's amazing. It was a really heartfelt story and really hard hitting at the same time. Like, especially where Kate is concerned. I mean, exploring what someone must go through to find themselves in a position that Kate found herself in, and to handle it sensitively. I mean, A.E. Radley's done a great job of giving insight and being very delicate with the subject, and so you know, you really got a different insight into how someone can end up destitute, and it's not always of their own making. I mean, life is cruel, and support systems are overstretched, vulnerable people are at risk, and I mean, A. Radley just does a fantastic job of portraying that here. She really hits the nail on the head with it, and she also explores how, like I say, no one's ever as they seem. So Selena can be really easily misunderstood in this book, and she is really icy, but she is what I would call a misunderstood ice queen, as most of them are. They're very misunderstood. They're not as they come across. They have also had hard lives, and they have to fight to get that power. They have had to fight to be that successful, and they're a fighter, but not in the sense of they're just privileged. And you know, Selena has had to fight, and that is very evident in the way she behaves as well, and the way she makes assumptions and the way she treats people. But she does learn a lot in this book, especially from Kate. Kate is almost like a guide for her, and then she's also like a help for Kate. I mean, it's amazing how they interact and just be together, and it was all well portrayed in really quite a realistic manner for something that seems so extreme it may never happen. But I believe in the world, you know, there is goodness in people, and Selena is a glowing example of how you can misjudge someone, completely misunderstand them. You look at them with their fancy car and their designer clothes, and you say, oh, they're not a good person, you know, because you don't see them doing any kindness, but they are a good person and they do have kindness in them. Selena is a great advocate for that. So I just loved everything about this story, like literally everything. And you know, I just loved how the characters interacted, their relationship together, that slow burn, that, you know, that way they challenge each other, the way they instill each other to think about other things, and they paint the bigger picture for the other character and get that other character thinking. But whilst the other character's getting that sort of thinking, an overwhelming sensation of, you know, maybe finding out that they shouldn't make that first assumption, you as the reader have made an assumption whilst you're reading, because you're reading the book, you're so invested in the story that you're then learning along with the character not to make that assumption. I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. And so I got a lot of surprises in this book. Like, I literally didn't expect a lot of it, and I just loved every bit of their characters. Like, A. Radley writes perfect characters, you know, they're so realistic, they have wit, they have banter, they have emotion, they're feeling, and then they have this wonderful way of just being intimate without anything being physical, and that intimacy, do you know what I mean? It's just so natural, and it's a change, because it's such a thing in lesfic to have that physical intimacy to build the story, and yet A. Radley delivers a brilliant story without any physical intimacy, but it's still there. They have that intimacy. It's very emotional, and it's where it is physical, it's not physical as you would think it would be in that type of book. It's delicate, and it's not hidden, but it's just natural. It's amazing. It literally is. Like, I love it. I love every second of it. I don't even miss that really intimate physicalness that's in everything else I read. It's refreshing to get a book without it. So I just loved it so much. Like, this was my favourite A. Radley yet, and it will be until she writes another book and I read that, and then that'll be my favourite. It's like literally asking me to pick my favourite child, asking me to pick my favourite Radley. So it's just the latest one, and then I love all the others still as much, but the latest one's shiny and new. So I love this one. It's absolutely great. Hopefully there'll be more from Selena and Kate in the future, maybe, I hope, because I'd love to see where they're at now. And I'll pop a link in the description so that you can go and grab a copy of Going Up, because come on guys, it's a Radley. You have to have a Radley. I always have to buy my Radleys. I absolutely love them. So I hope you'll go and grab a copy. I hope you'll check it out. If you've read Going Up by A. Radley, please let me know what you thought of it. Who was your favourite? Selena? Kate? Both of them? I mean, you can't pick, can you? You really can't pick. And how did you find the story? And if you haven't read it yet and it's on your to-read list, or you're interested in reading it, or you're now thinking, I gotta go read that, please let me know, because it's always great to hear what you're interested in reading. And I hope if you do read it, I really do hope you love it as much as I did, because it was absolutely fantastic. Bye!